Okay. We're still without the holy camera of Eliezer that the police must be having some trouble finding the download button on that camera here. So, even though it's not easy for me, because I'm interested in finishing up our 10-part series on Samson, I'm going to wait till that camera comes back. So, anyways, this week we'll speak about a few different points on this week's Parsha. Especially we're going to hit on the Gra. So this is going to be from the commentary on this week's Parsha, Bechukotai. We're on the 24th day of Iyar, 5775. And so here we go. If a person looks, I had a chavruta, learning partner, for 10 years in Elon Moreh. And a friend of mine named Moshe Goldschmidt. And every so often, when we would learn, he would take out his pen and he would take out a little notebook and he would jot down things. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, I have special notebooks that when I see divine providence, hashgacha pratit, happening in my life, I take it down, I write it down. That's really an unbelievable idea. Sorry I never copied him on that idea, because if a person really opens up, if we really open up our eyes, then we could have tremendous amounts of volumes of these notebooks, not just one notebook or 5 notebooks, because it's really amazing when we look back. Sometimes we have to look back, sometimes when it goes down we see it. Just give you a little story. Anybody that is familiar with the sunrise, the Vatikan minyan, there's a couple days a year where they're extremely difficult. Why? Take for example, the night after Leil HaSeder on Pesach. People are up till 12, 1, 2 o'clock. How can you expect a person to get up 3 hours later at 5 o'clock? Not easy. So that's a difficult day for the sunrise crowd to get 10 people together. Another such day is Lag BaOmer, which we just had 6 days ago.
That's what happened here. Yom Hamishi, Sefer Torah, the Maharat, Na'aseh Minyan.
There was no minyan here.
באוהל השם, הם מתגיירים ב5:45. בדיוק בנץ מתפללים. בכנסת, ולא היה מניין. זה קצת קשה את כל העניין של המדורות.
So, as Avram said correctly, it's a very difficult day. Lag BaOmer. Why? Number one, a lot of people go to Meron to celebrate. Number two, I know in Elon Moreh we have usually 4 or 5 yeshiva guys that come every day, and they don't come on Lag BaOmer because they're up in Meron with the celebrations, with the whole yeshiva goes up as a yeshiva. So we don't have, we're missing a lot of guys. So this year, on my Richter scale, inside I have like a yardstick of, are we in troubled water here? How do we stand here? Anyways, I was getting all kinds of alarms like, oh no, it's not going to be good today. I was getting all kinds of feelings. Sure enough, it's about 5 minutes before sunrise, and I got my backpack on with my talis and tefillin, and I know that right now at 5 minutes before sunrise I have to leave, take my bike, in order to get to another Beit Knesset, another synagogue that also prays during the sunrise hour. So I knew that I had to leave. So we were missing one person. Okay. Went to this other shul, and now we have a big minyan because we're 9. We were 9 people, and they maybe were 11, so now we're a big minyan. We're 20 people. Okay, I finished my prayers, and as I try to do every day, I go start working out. Turn on the computer, and I notice that I have a letter from my sister. My sister lives in Memphis, Tennessee. She sends me a link with the letter. She says, listen to this song. Tell me what you think. It's a song by the famous Shlach Rock group, Lenny Solomon. For those that are familiar, Shlach Rock, what they do is they take songs in English and they convert them and they switch all the words and make them into Torah songs. So now my sister sends me this clip. It's a music video, but also you see people. It's also like a film. So what's the title of the song? Title of the song is like we're missing one man for the minyan. So I just finished in my real life with, oh my God, we're missing one guy for the minyan. I go home, open up the computer. I just got a new letter from my sister. She sends me this song by Shlach Rock, and he tells about how he came to this small town in Alabama somewhere, and for a Shabbat, and they told him a lot of people have passed away. It's I guess like a lot of places in America and Europe, people pass away, and you're going to be the 10th guy. So tremendous thing. If we open up our eyes, we'll see Hashem directing, guiding us all the time. Really amazing stuff if we take the time out.
I don't think it's a good idea, really. Writing down whatever you reveal as providence, because everything you do, it's just that we're not sensitive enough. We don't have the insight to understand that the smallest thing, like unbuttoning the shirt.
No, that's for sure. But I'm talking about certain times where Hashem allows you to put the lines together.
Yes, that's true.
So, okay. Now, somebody sent me this unbelievable link. After I saw this link yesterday, I went to Talmud Torah, and I asked the kids in the class, I said, listen, we learn about Avram Avinu, the first Jew. We learn about how in his times people would have all kinds of idols, psalim, that they would bow down, they would pray to, they would believe. And we know the story with Avram. He comes around and he destroys all these idols. Do you think that such avodah zarah, foreign idol worshipping, exists in our time? So,
I'm pretty sure it does, but this doesn't have the power, like they say.
So I asked the kids in the Talmud Torah.
What age are children?
So the kids were like, I asked a few groups. Some of them are some of them are 12 years old. Some of them are 8 years old. Different ages. So most of them could not believe that there really is all this idol worshipping still going on. Yesterday, somebody sent me a link from CNN. There's a reporter, speaks English. She was apparently born in India, and she must have left with her family or something. Anyway, she comes back, and she takes you around, as they're filming, she takes you around different places that were hit in the earthquake. Now, why was this yesterday? Because yesterday they were hit again. They were hit again with a 7.3 Richter scale. Nothing personal on my behalf. But she's taking us around and showing us all the temples that have been destroyed. And then she shows us, in her words, various gods. She shows us various gods, and she shows us how there's food. People in the morning come before the gods, and they offer them food. Rice, of course. Of course it's rice. Rice-a-roni. Yeah, the San Francisco,
And the
San
rest
Francisco tree.
disappears because the birds eat it.
So, and then some of the gods she shows that are in cages. Why? Because there's a lot of looting going around. So they've locked up, they've put like bars and cages around. Now, if you think about it, it's kind of like a little bit funny. Like, well, if this is your God, why do you have to put him in a cage? He can't protect himself from being stolen. Like, bow, 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 yeah. Yariv Baal, okay. Folks, unbelievable. I mean, that this stuff, okay. If you notice, a lot of these places where these earthquakes are hitting, Japan, in the Fukushima bout, and Haiti and Nepal, all these places are filled with avodah zarah. I was speaking to a former priest from Japan. I was in his house for about an hour. He's a tremendous Talmid Chacham. I was asking him different questions about idol worshipping, and he told me that in Japan, the major idol worshipping in Japan is that they worship dead people. That they wait if somebody's about to die, so the whole family comes around, or whoever wants to come around, and then they bow to them. Why? Because the person that doesn't bow down to the people that are about to die, so therefore the dead person comes back and will haunt them and will take revenge against that person. So Japan and all these other places are full of modern day idol worshipping. Like, think about it. I mean, it's like Christianity is idol worshipping, but a lot of places it's much, much more of a clean kind of idol worshipping than we think about in the time of Abraham or in the time of the Torah. You know, there's a lot of places that don't have statues. Okay, it's still avodah zarah because they are still worshiping a person, and therefore it's 100% avodah zarah, as all the commentators say in halakha. But you know, it's still not like this idol and giving food to it and bowing down to it and cleaning it. It's still going on.
So I saw an interesting article that in the States, since we're all former from America in this group here, so we love to eat. So there's a lot of different kosher restaurants nowadays.
Speak for yourself.
Kosher that, kosher everything. So the article was about the guy was in this kosher restaurant, and he frequents kosher restaurants, of course. And he said it's interesting how you have the kashrut certificate on the wall, and then right next to it you have, if it's an Indian restaurant, you have a picture of,
whoa,
their guy, so to speak, and he was questioning, the kashrutness of a place where okay, it's kosher, but then you also have
not too kosher.
This other, stuff going on there.
Listen, this great Talmid Chacham that I was talking to, this former Japanese reverend priest, told me that for the last 5 years, day, afternoon, night, he's been studying the tractate of Avodah Zarah, idol worshipping. I said, how far did you get? He told me he's only got up to half. So think about that. He's going 5 years. He's learning it in the morning, afternoon, and evening. He's only got up halfway. He says that many of the commentators, what we call the Rishonim, on the Gemara, they speak in hints because of the fact that there was a fear that if they spelled it out, what's going on, then the Jews would be held accountable, and there would be pogroms. But he says he understands all the hints. Because of the fact that he lived that way, he came from that life, so he understands all these hints that the great commentators on the Talmud are giving over. Pretty amazing thing. So anyways, the idea here is, the bottom line is, idol worshipping 5775, alive and well. Okay.
Isn't that a siman of Yemot HaMashiach, a reawakening of these very, very primitive beliefs, witchcraft and all?
Oh, I think so. I think we're going back in time. We're going back in time. Okay.
Back to the future.
This unbelievable idea. In this week's parsha, it says, "V'natati shalom ba'aretz u'shchavtem ve'in machrid." I will give peace into the land, and you will be able to sleep without fear. Right? Most people, they go to sleep, they put on their 5 or 6 locks. In Israel, they have Rav Bariach, and how many people go to sleep and with a clear conscience? They don't have any problem. In our house, we sleep with the door open. I mean, not wide open, but the door's open. Baruch Hashem, that's the way to live. So we're already, I guess, in the future. But anyways, the Torah promised us this kind of life. Now the Gemara says,
my son Shmuel, just recently, I criticized him. He has 3 doors. They were all unlocked. I told him he should lock the door. He's asleep in his room. The children are up there. I mean, we're living in a certain reality.
Okay, so the Gemara says in Brachot that if you see 3 certain items in your sleep, in your dream, this is a tremendous sign. You're supposed to get up and say a certain verse of the Torah. These are signs, symbols of peace. One of them is if you see a pot. If you see a pot in your dream, right? Like, pots and pans. It's a symbol of peace. Why is that? So Chazal tell us the fact that if you look at a pot symbolizes really a tremendous amount of peace. Why? Because a pot deals with two materials. One is fire and one is water. So fire and water, they're not good friends, as we know, because the water puts out the fire. So they do not go together whatsoever. The water wants to flow, the fire, etc. They don't go together. But once water is put into a pot, and then you light the fire, they make peace between them, and they make, as William said, apparently I didn't know this, but William was telling us that Jews like to eat. Okay, Jews like to eat. I didn't know that. But so I thought, wow, this is an unbelievable concept. Why? Because if you've been to weddings, and if you have Baruch Hashem, in my family, we're coming up with in another month we have our 4th wedding. A lot of the presents that are given to the new couple are kitchen utensils, pots and pans, and those are things I know for myself. I have a lot of these pots from the time I got married. So we're talking about 27 years. I still have, because they're good. So think about that. What's really the message? People don't even think about it. Well, you just got married, you need help in the kitchen. But there's an unbelievable, tremendous spiritual message here. That I'm giving you this present. This young couple, I'm giving you a present. And it's the present that represents 2 very different elements, fire and water, a man and a woman, 2 various different elements. But the pot represents the opportunity to bring these two opposites together. So therefore, if you see that in your dream, okay, this is a tremendous sign of peace coming your way. So this is really what people have this urge to give young couples, pots and pans. It's a very deep spiritual meaning to this. It really hit me. I'm surprised you're still sitting here. Okay. Put on your seatbelts for this one. On the same verse, V'natati shalom ba'aretz u'shchavtem ve'in machrid. We all know that in Breshit Rabbah 8:5, it says there the following, that Hashem, when he wanted to create the world, so to speak, he first came to 4 various attributes in the world and asked what there was their opinion to create man or not to create man. As we see in our world, people are very difficult. If you look at the divorce rate, we see that people are very difficult. If you look at all the killings that are going on, all the wars that are going on, all the a crime that's going on, people are difficult. It's like a difficult subject, people. It's not such an easy thing. It's not such an easy question to answer. Was it worthwhile to create man? We see with our very eyes. So Hashem went to various attributes like charity. And he also, 2 of them, he went to emet, truth, and he went to shalom. Okay? So now, what happened? The vote was to create man, and 2 against the creation of man. Who was against? There were 2 forces, 2 attributes that were against man. That was truth, and that was peace. And it's a really amazing thing, because if it says, as Avram hinted in his words, that if you look today, really the 2 things that are most missing in our world are what the Torah teaches us, that look, I will give you signs that the Mashiach is right on its way. One is that the truth will disappear. Ha'emet nederet will disappear. And also one is the Talmud tells us in Sunday.
Hidden.
Oh, hidden.
It
Right.
exists, but it's
Exists, yeah. Good point, right. Emet me'eretz titzmach. It's there, you just got to pull it out of the ground. Second thing is shalom. Okay, the second thing is shalom. It says when there are tremendous wars and killings and cruelty in the world, okay, know that the Mashiach is right on his way. So, I mean, those 2 attributes... So these are 2 attributes that it wasn't for nothing that they spoke against, because they knew what was coming down on the corner. They knew what's coming after the turn. And we see it in our times. So it's 2-2. What do? So Hashem has to throw 1 down. He has to eliminate. In order so it to be 2-1, okay, we're going to have to eliminate one of the factors here. Hashem takes which factor? Emet. He takes emet, the truth, and so to speak, he gets rid of it. Shuts him up, throws him out. That's why it says, emet me'eretz titzmach. Because Hashem, so to speak, threw it down. Now, all the commentators ask a good question. What's the question? Why did Hashem pick truth and not peace? Hashem could have taken, if we want to win the game, it's 2-2, right? We have to eliminate one force here. Take peace, shalom, just get rid of it. Now we have 2-1. Rashi writes an unbelievable Torah. On a scale, when you put truth and shalom on the scale, truth is a much, much more important characteristic trait. Truth. And therefore, that's why specifically Hashem had to eliminate truth. And interesting enough is, we know that certain things a person is allowed to lie in this world. For example, a person is asked, did you ever learn this subject? The person is allowed to say, no, I didn't learn it. Out of modesty, the person is allowed to say, no, I'm not too familiar with that question. It's not truth. So the commentators say, unbelievable Torah. what allows us to, for the sake of peace, change? It's only because of the fact that truth was thrown down by Hashem. If truth would have remained and Hashem would have thrown down shalom, peace, can never do that. We would never be able to do that. You would just have to tell it like it is. Just have to tell it like it is. So we know that there are certain issues that a person is allowed not to speak the truth about. And it's only because of the fact that more important than peace is truth. Now, in this world, there's a lot of people running around here that want to gain. For example, there was a famous, I think it was Beatle or McCartney song about how if we can just get rid of all the religions, then there would be tremendous peace in the world. Right? There's a song that, I forgot exactly how it goes, but there's a song to that. So, not so. What brings us peace is the Torah truth. And that's why there was no way to create the world unless the truth would have been thrown down. If shalom would have been thrown down, okay, it still would not have been created. So therefore, the whole source of being able to switch our words, not tell the truth always, is only because of the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu threw away, so to speak, truth and allowed in this world to come to bring up the attribute of peace. Only because of the fact that Hashem threw it out, but to know that truth is much, much more important than the attribute of peace. Okay.
If you say me'alef ataf, it contains the alef ataf.
Emet.
Everything is contained in the word emet.
Oh, nachon. And if you remove just a little bit of that emet, we're left with met. You take the smallest letter, aleph, you're left with met. Okay, died. Okay, next.
The aleph alufo shel ha'olam.
Oh.
Met.
We finish our Amidah prayers 3 times a day. And what do we say? We have a little addition there. We talk about the rebuilding of the temple. V'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha. Ten chelkeinu b'toratecha. What's the connection between the rebuilding of the temple and ten chelkeinu b'toratecha? Now, this is very, very important to understand. Everybody who's sitting here, everybody has their own Torah, so to speak. What does it mean by own Torah? Everybody has their letter, so to speak, in the Torah. My letter is not your letter. Your letter is not my letter. Our letters are not some other people's letters. Listen to this unbelievable Gra. Gra writes, he brings the holy El Shech. Not a lot of commentators merited the title of holy. Okay, Rashi merited Rashi HaKadosh, or Chaim HaKadosh, and El Shech HaKadosh, those 3. So the Gra brings down the El Shech and tells us an unbelievable Torah. Bezrat Hashem, in about 13 days, we have 10 days even, we have a holiday coming up, receiving of the Torah. The El Shech gives an unbelievable chidush. Tremendous insight. What did we receive on Mount Sinai? What did we receive on Mount Sinai? 10 Commandments? What exactly? Much more. Besides for what everybody received their portion of the Torah. V'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha. Mesilat Yesharim, Path of the Just. He starts out his book with a person must know what their path is in the world. not our path. Everybody has been given certain characteristic traits. Everyone has been given a certain position, has been born into certain family, certain parents. Some for the better, some for the worse. Some people have been given limitations, health limitations. Some people have been given brain limitations. Why is that? Because everybody has a certain task that only they, with whatever Hashem has provided with them as a startup, only they can bring it to fruition. No one else. And therefore, in our prayers we say, Elohei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak ve'Elokei Yaakov. Why not just the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Why do we say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob? Yeah, let's just make it short, reader friendly. The idea here is a tremendous one. That if Abraham and Isaac and Jacob were the same, well, we don't need Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We just could have one Abraham who's Isaac and Jacob. Every person, Abraham, every person, Isaac, every Jacob, they themselves had their own, so to speak, God. What does that mean? They had their own portion of the Torah that only they were able to bring. When Abraham was born, he was born with a tremendous natural kind of trait of kindness. When Isaac was born, he was born totally opposite of Abraham. He was born with a tremendous amount of strength, tremendous amount of brazenness, and so on and so forth. The idea here is that everybody was given their portion of the Torah, and we are the only people that could bring it into being. And therefore, Hashem puts us here for a few years into this world, and we're given certain characteristic traits. We're given a certain amount of money, certain amount of wealth, certain amount of health. Everybody for what they have to accomplish in the world. So therefore, when I look out and I see, wow, today, you know what? Today, Joe and Fred, they came to the minyan. Does that mean Joe and Fred are the same? Not at all. Because even on a simple level, they could be totally different. Joe went to sleep 10 hours before the minyan. Therefore, it's not such a big deal to get up. On the other hand, Fred, he went to sleep 4 hours before the minyan. Fred is in a totally different league. We even put it further. Let's say that Fred gets up for the 9 o'clock minyan and Arthur gets up for the 5 o'clock minyan. Now, we might think that Arthur is a tremendous righteous guy. Why he gets up 5 o'clock for that sunrise minyan? Not so at all. Because of the fact that Hashem always is looking at us, seeing if we're using what He has given us as a base to develop and to further. Are we using our capabilities, our capacities as much as we could? And so therefore, it could be that a person that is crippled, you know what I'm saying? For him, just to pick up a prayer book, for him, that's equal to the greatest rabbis of the Kabbalistic rabbis praying. His picking up of a Sidur, what he had to do in order to pick up that Sidur because of his handicap, is a million times greater than the tremendous prayers of those Kabbalists. So, therefore, listen to this. We all know, we were told, we thought it's funny, ha 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 ha, it's not too funny. We all know that the Talmud tells us that when a person is a soul, he's taught the whole Torah. And then, before he comes down to this world, a certain angel comes, gives him a little one of these right hooks, boom, and he forgets the Torah. Wow, that's great, and you have a mark over here on your lips, indentation here on the lips. Wow, that's cool, or that's kind of like silly, depending on how you look at it. I don't know if it's cool, but it definitely ain't silly. The Gra writes an unbelievable thing. What does that mean? We were all taught the same Torah? Not at all. We were all taught the certain Torah that is connected to our fixing, to our tikkun, what we were brought into the world for. That's the Torah we were taught. Why do we forget it? Because there's free will in this world. And if we didn't forget it, there would be no reward that Hashem wants so much to give to us. There would be no reward because you have it right in your pocket. So therefore, Hashem taught us all the Torah, meaning He taught us that specific, special Torah only for us. For example, it says in various holy books that if a person has a leaning to a certain type of learning, let's say a person likes the Tanakh, Torah, Nevim, Ktuvim, but he finds it difficult to learn, let's say, halakha. Why is that? On the other hand, there's a person who's drawn into halakha, law. But on the other hand, he has really no connection to the Tanakh. Now, even though we have to try to do our best to learn everything, still many of the commentators say very clearly that what you have a pulling for, an urge to learn, that exactly is what you were brought here for. And therefore, while you must learn other things, but make this your major point. Make this your major point because you were given this kind of desire to learn this part of Torah because you've learned the other parts. Sorry. Okay, that we've taken a station identification break over there. Okay, so this is what's going on over here. That's what the Gra writes.
Use that word that you used. That relates to the Hindu, to the Avodah Zarah. I know you mean something. You mean Gilgul Nefashot. But that word relates to idol worship.
Once again, this is true, but we have to always realize where the term, where the, first of all, this is a class that we're giving in English, so we're trying to make it so people understand.
Things you can't say. A rabbi said sunrise, nets. Can you say it in English, nets?
No.
It's a terrible limitation.
Right, for sure.
Because
but
they're not given the key of the time to pray. The words to speak English.
Oh, for sure. Okay, so once again, many things, as we know. For example, the Quran, I was speaking to once an expert on the Quran who told me that 70% of the Quran was stolen from the Jewish people. Ideas
Only
there,
70%,
20% from Christianity, and there's a few original ideas over there. Christianity is all a steal. So anything, it's all this stuff is being, of course, stolen and hopefully to be returned to the Jewish people.
Stolen and twisted.
Oh, twisted. Okay, so folks, this is an unbelievable thing. What we were brought into this world, that we have to look for the lost, what we lost. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be Yagata umatzata tamin. Mitziyah. Mitziyah is something that I lost. Hashem wants you to toil, to work, and to find the Torah that you were given as a soul to bring down. And only you can bring down that certain light of the Torah, that certain letter of the Torah. Only you can bring that down. Nobody else can do it as good as you can, and that's what we're here for. So that's a tremendous lesson. Okay, moving right along. It says in the end of this week's parsha, Bechukotai, it says that even though things are going bad for the Jewish people, Hashem says, I will remember the covenant that I had with Yaakov, and I will remember the covenant that I have with Isaac, and the covenant with Abraham. Listen to the words, the prophetic, like something out of the newspaper today. Look at the prophetic words of the Gra. The Gra writes the following, that the redemption will come via Hashem remembering the merit of the three forefathers. And these three forefathers are they are the tikkun of three various pieces of garbage that exist amongst Tvu'ah, amongst the, I guess you could call it wheat, or what are those three? We all know that the Jewish people are called Tvu'ah because they are the choice of the, so to speak, the choice of the field. So there are three types of pieces within the produce, the wheat, that must be eliminated from it in order for us to do something with the product. What is that? One is motz, one is tevin, and one is subin. These are three types of I'm not going to try to translate those, but those are three types of particles that must be eliminated from the wheat. So the Gra goes on to say that each the Jewish people represent the final beautiful product called Tvu'ah.
Bar.
What?
Bar. The clean part.
The clean part.
The seed.
Of the of the wheat. Now there are three. When you look at a piece of wheat, there are three parts of it that have to be eliminated. What are those three parts? Those three parts were taken upon by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to fight against those three pieces of spiritual garbage. What are those 3 points? One is, of course, Yishmael. In order to fight Yishmael, he represents one level of impurity, of garbage. Second was Esav. He's the second level that has to be fought, the second level of impurity, garbage. And the third is the Erev Rav. The third is the Erev Rav. They are the third. So listen to the Gra. The Gra says, in order to take upon the first 2 impurities, which are what? The impurities of Esav and the impurities of Ishmael. I read in this book, I forgot who the author is, a tremendous insight. I just saw this past week. If you look at the nations that are mentioned in the Torah, which nation has the name of God in their name? Ishmael. Ishmael.
I've said this many times. When you say the word, it's written. Ayin Aleph Lamed. But you don't say it. Ishmael. You say Ayin Lamed. In the saying, which is more important than the writing, the name of Hashem is not there.
Yeah.
If you pronounce the Ayin, Yishmael. You don't say Yishma'el. You don't.
The Chazal tell us in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer.
It's written, but it's not said.
In Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, it says the reason why that Ishmael is called on the name of God is because of the fact that before the coming of Mashiach, the troubles that they will create in the world will be so heavy that they will force the Jewish people to pray. They will force the Jewish people to pray, and then the redemption will come. So this rabbi points out in his book, try to get it next week, a tremendous point. He says, first of all, it's an amazing thing, because if you think of the Yishmaelim, what do you think of when you think of them? Mostly you think about their 5 different prayers during the day. You think about them praying. You think about their noise that they're making in the mosques.
The first thing I think of is Pera Adam.
No, okay. But besides for that, on a spiritual level, they stick out very much so. You could be driving along and they pull out their little carpets and they I don't know. I've been out of the States for a long time, but people tell me that try to get a taxi around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Forget about it.
Everything's paralyzed.
The taxi drivers, no, they're out there, getting their little prayer rugs, and yalla, we're going down.
Try to get a prescription in Israel at the same time.
Your carpet.
So he says, number one, it's an amazing thing, is that they have the power of prayer. They 5 times a day, they go out it. 5 times a day, they go out in prayer.
We took that from our young
They have the, sure.
Their prayers are accepted.
Ishmael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard him crying.
They
HaKadosh
took
crying.
They took it from our Yom Kippur.
Sure.
The 5 levels
Yeah, they
of
said,
our,
let's do it every
the 5
day.
levels of our
Let's do it
soul.
every day. Exactly. Yeah, that's the only day we have 5 prayers.
Okay,
The 5 levels of soul.
Yeah, you're right.
okay, folks, so let's hold on here. And he says an unbelievable thing. They're the only nation that has the name of God in their name, in the name of the nation. Why is that? Because they're the only people that whatever they do, as they blow you away, as they rip off your head and with a sword, and they crucify you, etc. They all do it in the name of God.
That he's great.
They do it in the name of God. They're the only people that steal and kill and murder. It's all in the name of God that it's beseder.
That's right.
That's an amazing insight on his part. Okay, so the Gra says that these two bad parts of the wheat that must go, they will be taken upon by who? Who are our 2 representatives? One is Mashiach ben David, and one is Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben David will take on the bad parts of Esav, and Mashiach ben Yosef will take on the bad parts of the Ishmaelim, okay, of the Islam. Okay, so we're left here with who? Yaakov. He's the only one left. Yaakov is, of course, Israel. Yaakov is called Israel. Listen to this. Omnam habirur hagamur. This is only partial. When Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David come into our lives, and they start taking upon the Christian and the Muslim world, represented by Ishmael and Esav, and they will do what they have to do. They will eliminate those evil sides. The Gra comes up and says, listen, that's only 2 out of 3. Now, when I was a kid, there was a great song. It was called 2 out of 3 Ain't Bad. Maybe it was for your time. Meatloaf, thank you. That was a Gewalt song. Okay, anyways, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So, what's the third? The Gra writes, the third one, the final, the true separation, the true cleaning out process will only be finalized not after the Christian world, not after the Islam world, no, Muslim world, no. Hu keneged ken hasubin shehem ha'erev rav shem dvekim bachita meod meod. Tremendous thing. I can't believe people are still sitting here. The Gra sees a tremendous prophecy. He sees today's newspapers. Everything is very, very nice to fight against the Christian world, to fight against the Muslim world. Everything is very nice. It's going to be done. It's happening, actually. It's going down already. But that's not the final stage. The final stage, which will bring us into the period of the Messiah, the completion, will be when the final type of refuge, of garbage, which clings on more than others. Because if you look out into the world, there's still a separation between Jews, and Christians. There still is a separation between Jews and Muslims. No matter how you want to slice it, still exists a big barrier between the two. There is one thing that there is no barrier, and that's why the Gra here prophetically writes here that what is the hardest part to get rid on that tremendous, beautiful piece of wheat. That part is the Erev Rav. Because it's so sticky, it's so part of us, they have become part of us, which we don't know now who's a Rav, who's the Erev Rav. We don't know. It's so complex. And that's going to be the final battle. And that battle will be taken on spiritually by Jacob. So in the end of the blessings and the curses, 49 of them that we have, in 49 curses that we have in this week's Parsha portion. So when we talk about the last verse is, I will remember the covenant with Abraham. I will remember the covenant with Yitzchak, Isaac. And the last one, okay, the last one is Yaakov. The last one is going to be Yaakov.
It's mentioned first in the pasuk.
Right, he's first in the pasuk. I'm just saying it according to the Gra brings down what it's going to be.
Important.
Oh.
Because the other ones were af et brithi, were af, even. But Yaakov is more important than Abraham and Yitzhak in this pasuk.
For sure. So folks, we have it here straight out in your face over here. We have it unbelievable that the most difficult battle of all the battles coming up our way is going to be the separation of the Jewish people from the Erev Rav. Hashem should give us strength. Bezrat Hashem. Kodesh Baruch Hu should give us strength.
Tell us who they are.
Be victorious.
Can you tell us who they are?
The list, the bloodline.
That's what Rav Uzi Meshulam always spoke about, the Erev Rav.
Welcome, Bernie.